Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special after-school special version of the Boring Enterprise Nerdcast, where we are diving so deep into clean core that by the time we get done, we're not even going to recognize what clean core is. It's going to be so expanded. It's going to be so educational. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll sing along with us. There's just so much to talk about, so much to think about, and so much going on here that it's worth a big discussion. So I'm Paul Moderman. With me, as always, is the awesome Yelena Perfetyeva. Say hi.
Everyone.
And we are going to take you on a tour through Clean Core, especially because in the last few days, I think like the last week or
Yeah,
so,
like we, yeah,
SAP has released some new guidance on this stuff. And it has, I think, some pretty big impact as customers kind of look at that stuff. But Elena, let's kind of sort of dive in. Let's start with kind of the history of Clean Core itself. Give
yeah,
me give me your take on kind of the history of Western philosophy version of Clean Core.
yeah, yeah. A long, long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So, funny enough, I think the clean core itself originated from about 2018 TechEd
Mm,
when on the in the keynote it was announced like keep the core clean. I don't think anyone kind of picked up on that message because to be honest, it's not really clear to people what the core even means and
yeah,
what it meant. I think it started mostly because at the same time, SAP also was pushing a lot to move to the cloud. So that totally was related to that. You
yeah,
cannot really go to the cloud with your huge like baggage of all the crap from like
that's
20,
right.
20, 30 years
And I
back.
think I think back then that was right after SAP HANA Cloud Platform became
Yeah.
SAP Cloud Platform, but
Yeah.
before it became Business Technology
Yeah,
Platform.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Somewhere between like two renamings, yeah, yeah, this stuff happened. So that was a
Yeah,
first, I think, kind of mention from SAP stage. But
yeah,
then I think SAP came out with the first clean core paper or some kind of official announcement putting more emphasis on it, maybe like 2023 or so, or 2022
yeah.
or around that time. I would probably go and check our old newsletter
Oh,
because
actually, yeah, you're right,
we
because
wrote a lot about
I
it.
was gonna be super cool and show the original one, but this is the one from January of this year. This
Yeah.
is version 2 of
Yeah.
the
So
thing.
that yeah, so
So,
that was
okay.
already updated.
That
So
was already
so
updated.
SAP first came out like, oh, everyone needs to clean core, and then customers were like, what's a clean core? Like, say what? Like, what do we need to do now?
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
mean? And I think a lot of maybe managers picked it up and they started asking questions about it and trying to guide developers on it. I think for developers it was a little bit of a head scratcher because it was like, well, we kind of have been trying to do everything as clean as possible for a long
Yeah.
time because it's been always this kind of strategy, at least for the development, that okay, use standard as much as possible and don't do modifications. Obviously, and by modifications, I mean like pure SAP standard modification where you
Yeah.
literally just go in and change SAP's code. That was never a good idea. So it was slightly confusing for developers like why is this like a big thing just now? So there was a lot of disconnect between official SAP messaging, what managers heard, what developers knew all
Mm,
along. So
mm.
yeah, what are your take on this, Paul? What's
Well,
like
so I picked up on a couple of things you just said there actually
hmm
too, because when you said that like it became kind of a thing that managers would talk about, like that's totally my
mm,
experience of this too, right?
yeah.
Because there's this distinction between, and I think like SAP has some plays a role in this too, right? Where
Mm,
like as engineers, many engineers are for very good reason, like meticulous, careful, planful about the things that they do with the system. Of course, that makes total sense.
yeah,
There was never a word for that other than like good engineering. There was never
yeah,
like a common word for that, right?
yeah.
When the clean core messaging kind of arrived and kind of became more of a thing, I always interpret it as like there's a reason other than good engineering that SAP is like hammering this message now,
Mm,
right? Which
mm,
is I've always interpreted as like, by the way, when you finally do what we want you to do, which is move to SaaS version of
mm-hmm,
SAP, whatever name that took then, whatever name it takes now, this is the way to get to what we want to do in that place.
mm,
So if we kind of mix up this like generally good engineering practice with like these recommendations that push toward like the things that will land you in that world, and but then it almost is like, and then so that when the manager layer picks it up, it's like Inception, the movie
yeah,
Inception, right? Where the
yeah,
whole job is them they go like 4 layers deep in the dream. Their job is to make that guy think he had the idea,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So somewhere in there, like I know that I mean managers understand that that's SAP's terminology, but like by like putting that in their backpack, like SAP wants, and I think for good reason, not this bad reason necessarily, SAP wants like the management layer to take on this terminology as like this is the what we should do, and this is like the white papers and the guidance and the training and all that are like the channel to doing it.
mm,
You know what I mean?
mm,
So that was how I always interpreted Clean Core. I interpreted it as like this combination of product management plus like sales and marketing,
mm,
right?
mm,
Even I mean, even if Clean Core itself does not tie you to any commitment to anything, like you don't like check a box to buy a license for Clean Core. And there's no like,
yeah,
oh, make this Clean Core button
yeah,
anywhere, right?
yeah,
But at the same time, like the purpose of that is clear, is to enable you to like adopt from SAP's perspective, the purpose is clear. Get you to adopt BTP stuff, get you to adopt S/4HANA Cloud, get you to adopt more stuff more easily from
yeah,
their solutions,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
that's my interpretation of like the motivational history of this stuff. Maybe
yeah.
maybe cynical, I don't know, but like that's how I've always kind of read this
Oh, and,
stuff.
and, and that's where I think some adjustments were kind of made to the messaging because in general, what happened, it went something like that. So SAP is like, oh, you need to do clean core, and then managers well, well, like why? What is clean core? It's like, well, it will make your transition to the cloud easier, but then I mean, public cloud, like says, like you said.
Yeah.
But we don't want to go there, like ever or in the nearest future for sure. Then SAP well, it's also about easier upgrades. And then, oh, okay, well, I like easier upgrades. It's like, but then really there wasn't really much. I think practical guidance what it really means. It's like I think SAP has. I mean, obviously, as a software vendor and for-profit company, they do have their own agenda. It's not like some kind of conspiracy
Yeah.
theory. They very
Yeah.
clearly do, and it's normal. Um, but customers are in different positions. They need to understand what does it mean for them, for their organization,
That's
and
a
how do
that's
they
a
translate it into like doing something. Yeah,
that's a key thing I think
yeah,
because so I think maybe this is a good time to sort of
yeah,
like because I think this latest evolution that we'll talk about
yeah,
is like actually a good step in that
yeah,
direction,
yeah,
right? And so I think maybe let's kind of talk about a little bit about the old 3 tier versus the new
yeah,
4 tier
yeah,
stuff, and then where the 3 tier fell short a little bit of that like
yeah,
recommendation, but like not a lot of ways to get
yeah,
there.
yeah,
And then let's talk about the 4 tier thing.
yep,
So
yep,
here is the January 2025 version of this stuff, which has been meticulously scrubbed from the web. I had a copy of it laying around on my laptop that I resurrected for this conversation. But I know somewhere in here there is a nice little graphic that's a good place to start with this. This is the this is the 3 tier model
mm-hmm,
here. And like a lot of people that I have talked to, and I think I mentioned this on our other shorter video or nerd letter talk video, like a lot of people walked away from both this diagram, but also like the messaging from wherever they're hearing it. They walked away thinking, oh, to be tier one or to be really clean core, I have to like go buy $1 billion in BTP licensing
yeah,
and do everything in BTP. Like
yeah,
that was a lot of people walked away with that feeling. And
yeah,
so like I would be talking to somebody about something and say, like, oh yeah, such and such, blah blah blah. As long as you're doing the whitelisted stuff, blah blah blah, you're good to go. You're clean core, blessed according to the policies there, right?
Yeah.
And they would say, but don't I have to do it in BTP? And that was like that would start to like mesh or like
Yeah.
sort of pull people's brains hemispheres apart, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In that. And so let me reflect on this too, is that the other thing is that, like, if you go look at how the tier two was set up and messaged,
Mm.
like there was still like a fair amount of effort to sort of get things to what they would call tier two.
Yeah.
Not impossible, but there's a lot of like make a wrapper for this and like do the things under this wrapper in this way and then put the wrapper in this form and do this blah blah blah. Like that that added some like burden, I
Mm.
think. Like some psychological burden of like, oh, we're doing this. And then this tier two became it was like it was one you still weren't in clean core. You still weren't clean core if you
Yeah.
were in tier two. At least that's
Yeah.
how I read it, right? You still would have that phase
Yeah.
of like, okay, now I got to tier two. Okay, now when the next wave of things or when we get to this version of Rise or whatever, I'm gonna have to go back, or when
Yeah.
I go to public cloud, I'm gonna have to go back and like actually pop the hood again and
Yeah.
like rewire all the engine bits and whatever the hell else you do
Yeah.
inside an engine, right?
Yeah.
So there was, at least from my view, there were some problems with the three tier thing.
I think there are many problems even with this diagram. And if you look at it like classic ABAP, retire. I mean, this message is not going to sit okay with very many customers who are running, their systems that they migrated from ACC that they had for years. And if you look at tier two here, it doesn't even connect to anything. It just sits there in
Yeah.
the middle. And when I heard this idea about like tier two and wrappers, like I don't even get it. Like why it's like slavery with extra steps. Like you build
Yeah.
the wrapper for what? For what purpose? What would it do? I get it if it was something like I think wrapper in general is a valid idea for some not totally clean correlated reasons sometimes. If you want to
Yeah.
just kind of I don't know, obfuscate something, or if you want something to be easier manageable, yeah. But in this case, like, okay, I'm gonna take some dirty APIs or some kind of dirty function module and wrap it in a class, but I
I still got to
later I
do
will have to
something
still
later.
have to change
Yeah.
it. Like well, maybe just do nothing and just
That,
change it later
yeah.
altogether
Yeah.
when new API comes. So that was message like completely like whoosh, like I think went over
Yeah.
the head for so many developers and even more for managers, I guess, because managers
Yeah.
managers just heard that and they went to developers and developers were like, well, what do you want us to do exactly? Do you want us to spend time building wrappers? What like we have like tons of tickets sitting there, with the right
Yeah.
problems to solve. So don't just buzz off.
Now I'm
So
now I'm getting this picture of like like the department store around the
yeah,
holidays. There's like
yeah,
a desk where you can go to get your stuff wrapped.
yeah,
If you're buying it for somebody, you can. So now I'm just picturing like an SAP nerd
yeah,
at the like wrapper station. And somebody brings her a Bappy and she just like puts a wrapper on it and
yeah.
like tapes
Dice
it and
ball.
puts
Yeah,
to
yeah,
to the CEO love ABAP nerd on a tag and then there you go, right?
yeah.
Okay, so that's our sort of brief complaint list, I think you could say, or our brief reflections on the tier three stuff. Let's jump into
Four
this
level,
new
four
approach.
levels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the four levels. Here's a good view of that four level thing here. And
So
so, yeah, go ahead, please,
sorry,
please.
we went from three to four, and now they are not tiers but levels, and they have letters now. So not to be confused with previous model.
Yeah,
Yeah, clearly.
which is probably which is funny, I think, but
Mm,
also probably a good move because now you can't say a number
mm,
and get it confused across two, right? If you say A, you are unambiguously talking about like the
yeah.
latest thing,
Yeah.
right?
I, I I have a little prediction. You know how we have maple syrup in the US. It's a big deal
Yeah,
for
yeah,
pancakes. And when I think a few years ago, maple syrup was like graded by the color, I think, and color usually means like robustness. So
Hmm.
darkest
Hmm.
usually have like it's different flavor profile.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was like grade A or something like that, and there were some variations. But then I guess someone didn't like grade B nomination. I think they just eliminated grade B completely, and now it's like everything is grade A, but it's like light color and dark color. But I'm like, but what for? It's like it's just like semantics. I don't think anyone thought that grade B was worst, but they did it. So I guess it might be coming up. Different, the next model will have everything is grade A. It will be just different shades of syrup. So yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
right.
So, okay. So, I mean, if you look at this chart here, excuse me, you can still see like the DNA of the old thing here on the right-hand side, right? Because over here, you still have three tiers,
Mm,
right? So, like in one sense, there's kind of some sameness going on. But if you look over here on the left-hand side, there's more business going on here. And I think, at least for me, and probably most like at least nerd type people who look at this, the biggest like sort of gobsmacking change here is this classic ABAP
yeah,
stuff gets the promotion to clean core, right? Levels
yeah,
A and B are clean core in this chart, and the classic ABAP stuff,
yeah.
which has some nuance we'll go through, but the classic ABAP stuff gets promoted. It's now captain and rather than lieutenant or whatever, right? It gets the
Mm.
promotion to clean core. What strikes you about the four levels thing as well?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said in the previous diagram, it announced retirement of classic ABAP a little bit prematurely, and I'm really glad that I mean, classic ABAP got a seat at the table now at the clean table, and it honestly, from practical perspective, that just makes much more sense. It honestly, I feel like that's really what SAP kind of probably meant to say, but I don't even know why they didn't start with this model, to be honest. I have no idea why they went like all in on like claiming this is only this thing is clean and the rest is just not clean at all. This
Hmm.
seems more practical and considering the history of SAP customers and reality of how they prefer to run their system. So this is I I I, I don't really want to call it concession because we're not like at war or some kind of
Yeah,
I don't know, some kind of opposition here, but it clearly is an acknowledgement that I
yeah.
think they went a little bit too far in the original message,
I
and
I
that's
I
welcome change.
I was talking about this with some colleagues at work, and I keep coming back to like there's like this kind of in my sort of read of this, there's almost like a two-way street of forgiveness here going
Yeah,
on, right? In one sense, it's like SAP offering forgiveness, so to speak, for some of
yeah,
this older stuff that people deal with, but it's also like SAP kind of asking for forgiveness a little bit too, of like, hey, like maybe we pushed on this a little bit hard.
yeah,
Maybe we pushed this in maybe the wrong way a little bit, and here's a better way to think about it.
yeah, mhm,
Because like just at a high level, and there's a couple things I want to point out in this document, but at a high level, I I know I'm supposed to be like a snarky, cranky complainer guy, probably, but like for the most part, I like this document. I like this
yeah,
approach a lot better for
yeah,
people.
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
it's because it just seems like it's better for customers.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
prefer it, and it looks like I mean when you go reading more into details, it looks like it was really reworked quite a bit because I cannot even say I would map like exactly like previous tier versus new level. Clearly, the very top one, the tier one, corresponds to level A right now, but
Yeah.
rest of them it really totally different definition. So you really cannot even just say, oh, like previous year, like 3 or 2 is now like level so and so. It isn't really straightforward like that, which is a good thing here.
So with this level A and level B stuff,
Mm,
um, in the previous model, there was a lot of talk about, I think, yeah, let me see if there's a, Uh, maybe contractual is the word. I know. Well, anyway, so in the old model and still now too, there is a sense of like, okay, if I choose the like whitelisted premium primo
Mm-hmm.
super blessed stuff, the APIs and
Mm-hmm.
CVS things, then I have more or less contractual stability with SAP
Mm-hmm.
of like that stuff's not gonna like get yanked under my feet and
Mm-hmm.
change with me. With this latest thing going down to this level B where there's a lot of like classic ABAP available, there's also sort of this softening of posture a little bit where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
level A, the whitelist, the super primo, like, I'll give you brownie points if you pick this stuff, is like contractual stability. Level B, it's like the phrasing is the upgrade stability is not based on a stability contract, but on nominations of the respective APIs by SAP product experts. And I I also kind of read between the lines a little bit here too, and I sort of think that there's not just like internal SAP, but SAP listening to customers and listening to like people who like complain a lot. Like product experts can be a wide umbrella,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So in this, I kind of read like, okay, we're saying these are also stable. We're not going to like put our legal behind it,
Yeah.
right? But we're saying these are stable for you, and that's
Yeah.
because we think so, and like our loudest nerds in the community think so
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
right? Which, by the way, if you guys want to go see some of that stuff out in the cloudification repository, right,
Mm-hmm.
which is linked right next to this discussion about these things, you can actually go out and find these classic API things that are like available at this level now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lot of stuff that makes the cut to this classic API business. Like if I search for just for Bappy underscore whatever, like I got a lot of goodies now that make the jump into classic mode. I haven't even hit, yeah, look at that. Whereas if you looked at the whitelist of like the whitelisted Bappies or whatever, that's pretty small. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But if you like you come out here now and you start looking at like the Bappy functions that are available in this classic world,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot. There's really a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
available. And that's just the Bappies. I mean, let's not even forget like I mean, God knows whatever else. Like all these like classes. If I just go down to, I'll just pick classes for one example. Like we all know that in like our ABAP reports or like the user IDs or extensions or whatever, like
Mm.
people like very, very often they go find the SAP utility that does a thing and they use that,
Yeah.
right? For
Yeah.
converting a string to a table of strings or like a
Mm.
bunch of random stuff that you can do.
Mm.
And like there is now a ton of these just like plain old classes
Yeah.
that make the cut so that if you the customer are using these things in your ABAP reports, extensions, baddies, blah blah blah, whatever, like you get sort of the blessing from SAP, like, hey, we're cool, bro. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Because the main confusion,
there too for that. Let's see. I I kind of so let's think about I forgot. There's some other details too. There's a bunch of other interesting things here. So when we say classic stuff, there's actually a lot of things in there. Is that in this thing?
I think it
Oh,
was
it's
in the
not even in
other
there.
paper in the
No, okay.
extract.
So it's linked in an SAP note. I can't believe SAP didn't put this in the paper itself because I think this is important. There's an SAP note here that like goes into more detail of like the
Mm.
various extension frameworks and their classifications into these levels. And the super interesting thing about it, so this note right here is this one. And you can see all kinds of the stuff that you would have back in the day you would have gone and looked at individual BAPIs, exits, enhancement spots, implicit and explicit, use other user exits. It's like broken down into a lot more detail than the white paper does.
Yeah.
And there's some super interesting stuff here for what people do. I'll call it a couple things. Yelena, please jump in if you see some too. But I have always, because I started doing SAP stuff in like 2010.
Mm.
And to me, even then, like the customer exits felt like old stuff
Yeah,
to me
yeah,
a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
And but of course, if you implemented SAP in like 1998, like a bunch of people did, especially in the US, you have a gigantic pile of those things sitting around doing all
mm,
kinds of crazy kooky little one or two field things on your documents. And now in the previous world, in this world, those are not clean core. Those are tier
yeah,
three garbage, throw it
yeah,
away.
very bad.
In the new world, they get a blessing up to clean core.
Mm,
Like like that's at an object level, right? There's still some
yeah,
nuance there. But SAP is saying, okay, for you private cloud folks, like your customer exits, okay, maybe change the internals a little bit, but that's we're gonna like sort of protect those a little bit.
mm. There,
Conversely,
sorry,
yeah, yeah, go
there
ahead.
is an interesting diagram in that second document that came with the white paper. It's a bookmark to the left from this one, extend SAP for HANA. If you search, try searching for subscript here. I think that's where it was mentioned. Yeah, there you go. So it is kind of view on the similar information as in the note, but just slightly kind of condensed. And you can see that strange status. I have no idea why they use
Yeah, what is
like
that?
dot. I think
I didn't even notice
solid
that.
dot is available and that kind of circle that's planned.
Mm.
Um, and retire predecessor, that might be a little bit premature, I think, because, like, for example, look at nodes for application objects and like subscript long text XTXL. It's already retired, but the new thing is only planned. So I
Oh,
guess there will
right.
be at least some period of transition where, I mean, you cannot retire something if you cannot have replacement, especially in your SAP system, because there might be some new stuff, but it's gonna only on the very recent release. SAP has not been really downporting stuff a
Yeah.
whole lot. So many customers who maybe even are like, okay, we have our like 2020 or 2023 as for HANA, we're good like for a few years. We're not even going to upgrade. They will need to take that into consideration, that all the like latest and greatest like ideal of clean coreness is not going to be just available for them in their release. So yeah.
So yeah, actually, along with that,
Hmm.
here there's also SAP scripts and smart
Yeah.
forms advice in the detail here too,
Yeah.
and also
But it's
somewhat
like B like
surprisingly,
so I mean, is it retired or not? Like I can't
yeah.
make up
So
my
like
mind.
the
I'm
let's
like,
still maybe
I
find
mean,
the nuance here.
it's retired, but it's okay to use. It's like, like even
It's
an
like when
old
you're
horse.
it's
That's
like when your grandpa would retire, but he'd still come like fix your garage or whatever, you know?
exactly,
Like
yeah,
yeah.
exactly, yeah. Grandpa
So
retired, but if you still need to fix stuff, call grandpa. So
he's got nothing else to
yeah,
do. He might as well come
yeah,
fix
yeah,
your garage door.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
SAP script and smart forms get the bump to level B.
Mm.
Um, And then, oh, classic workflow, by the way, also
Yeah,
gets the bump to level B.
yeah,
That didn't because that was like pushing hard for
yeah,
build process automation in the
yeah.
prior world. And then also I think some super cool, well, I don't know if cool is the right word. I keep saying cool, but like I have this like sort of dual nature about these things, like
Mm.
because like when I say cool, I don't mean that WebDen Pro is cool, because I don't think WebDen Pro is cool. But
Yeah.
what is cool is that like you it gets the bump to level B. So now you
Mm.
can like breathe a sigh of relief about your pile of old WebDen Pro sitting around, right?
Yeah.
Same thing like ALV is not cool, really. I
Yeah.
don't think it's cool. But like, hey, as a customer, you're like, oh, it's cool. I can kind of keep that around if I need to,
Yeah.
right? ABAP reports get to level B. Like a ton of the stuff in here of the various kinds of
Mm.
ways that you can enhance stuff gets a bump. And then there are some individual SAP notes that go into more detail on certain things too.
Mm.
So, for example, this is oh yeah, so specifically in like the SD user exits, like Here is like a straight up listing of like, hey, if you were
Yeah.
doing your exits and these
Yeah.
includes,
Yeah.
hey, you're good.
Yeah.
I keep saying we're good, by the way, but this is an important thing that I didn't touch on here, or that we didn't talk about, is that you're good actually means you're good so long as the code inside that thing
Yeah.
meets the ATC check
Yeah.
of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So if you're like directly inserting into some old school four-letter table, right?
Yeah.
That's not clean core.
Yeah.
That's not that nobody. First of all, stop doing that anyway to the best of your ability. Everybody does it at some point in their past, and like that's like the ex-boyfriend or girlfriend that you're like so embarrassed that you dated back when, but like now you're stuck with like a tattoo that you got for with their name on your
Yeah.
arm or whatever. Uh, but now there is
Yeah.
some
ATC
new
setup. Mm.
ATC setup checks for these things. And in the ATC checks of these things, you will get the levels kind of set for you, not just based on what type of object, but what code is in that object, right? So you can have, like, generally speaking, your webbed in pro, for example, like that object can go all the way up to level B. But
Mm.
if you're doing some crazy, dumb, stupid stuff inside it, ATC is going to knock you for that, and you got to fix that up to get to like what SAP is calling
Mm.
level B,
Mm.
and all these other things too. If you've got custom code inside that enhancement thing, you're gonna like some the ATC is going to look at you funny unless you do good things with the code inside that, right?
Yeah. And yeah, so ATC ATC part of it is really quite important, at least for ABAP developers
Yeah,
specifically,
yeah.
because when SAP again just came out with this like Lean Core, the main question was, well, how can we tell how dirty our system is or how clean it is, and what do we need to change exactly? Are we supposed to just look manually through all the code? And at first ATP was like, like good question, bro. And they came out with some lame tools that wasn't really available to anyone. But then I guess someone realized the importance, so they started to coming up with some ATC improvements. There was that
Mm.
project Current Cipher that we wrote about in our newsletter just last week or a couple of weeks ago, and that takes advantage of ATC. And ATC, by the way, it's ABAP. I think official like ABAP Test Cockpit or some really
Yeah,
strange abbreviation, but
yeah,
it's really just a code check tool for ABAP
yeah,
code. And to the developers who are like, oh, I don't use ATC, I like Code Inspector. ATC is actually based on all the old tools. It kind of swallowed all the old tools, gobbled them up, and added some more to it. So if you're just using Code Inspector, you are essentially using ATC just with a really bad UI. So stop doing that. Just move on to ATC. It's honestly it's better. Um, and so those checks, that's a
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
important part of it from the practical
Yeah,
standpoint.
yeah,
However, I did see some posts out there with people, first of all, having trouble with some of it. I think there may be some issues that I hope SAP will address.
yep,
But also, again, the problem is it's available in latest and greatest. It's not going to be available in your like S/4HANA 2020, those checks. If you go try to install those SAP nodes, you're going to be like, nope, you need certain ABAP level. And again, I haven't heard of SAP planning to downport it to anything. However, one good thing that we do recommend to our clients and that we did for some of our clients, you can run this ATC in the central system. So
yeah,
no longer you must have it in the same exact system. It's really great that you can use actually another system just to run those checks. It may
yeah.
seem like an extra step, but if you truly want to start your clean core project, if you really want to invest in it, that's what you can do. Just set up separate system. It doesn't need, it's not a productive system, so it's really cheap expense wise. Just set it up and use that for your code checks, and your developers can even use it for some training purposes. So
So you
it's a
said
good way
something
to
really
go.
important
Yep.
there that I think I want to like zoom in on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You said if you want to,
Yeah.
right? So like kind of let's zoom out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What's your view on like Like, what does Clean Core solve for
Yeah.
customers?
Yeah.
What's your view on that?
So, so there is again a huge difference between SAP and customers here
Yeah,
because
yeah,
as you were just scrolling through the paper, I saw in the paper somewhere like SAP, well, like moving to the clean core, like clean core itself is a goal or something.
yeah,
But to me, honestly, it's more like a tool, I would say, for the customers that they, or more like aspiration. It's not something, some kind of specific milepost that you just achieve and there you go, you get like trophy for
yeah,
achieving your clean
yeah,
core, which by the way, I don't think 100% achievable for any customer who, unless they run on public cloud, that's
yeah.
where you're clean by
Then you've got no
definition.
choice. Yeah,
Everyone else, honestly, you will never be 100% clean. So you just make some peace with that.
yeah, yeah,
But then so there are two parts of it. First part that I always ask, if you think like clean core solutions and what is a problem, what exactly are you trying to solve? And when you identify that problem, be it either, oh, we truly want to move to SaaS maybe in like 5 years or 10 years, or if it's like we're really struggling with upgrade or we are struggling with our code quality, then those are specific issues that Clean Core approach can help you to solve.
yeah,
But then you also need to be really cognizant with your resource allocation to that. And here by resources, I mean budget, actual
yeah,
people,
yeah,
your the whole kind of company aligning with this. Because if you just say, oh, developers, you do clean core now, that's just not gonna go anywhere. I mean, I will be
I,
like, yeah, yeah, sure, we will, and that's it.
okay, boss, sure
Yeah,
thing.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, okay, bro. Yeah, cool story. Yeah.
So the picture I have in my head when I think about like like the practical value of clean core. You ever see like a
Mhm.
comic strip where like one character breaks the fourth wall and they reach over and they like
Yeah,
change the speech bubble of some other character to
yeah,
say something else?
yeah.
Like whenever so my thing is that like for customers like and especially this sort of this management layer that we've kind of talked about like
Mhm.
every time you hear or see the words clean core, you need to reach into your own thought bubble, scratch out clean core, and put in TCO.
Yeah,
Because the true thing is, how much does it cost you to run your freaking SAP system?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And like that's what matters to your business. That's what matters to your internal customers doing this stuff. Like like if you blow $100 million in a quarter trying to make everything perfectly clean core, you probably you satisfied some marketing person's thing, but you probably failed your company,
yeah,
right? Because like, is it worth $100 million to make sure the last seven
yeah,
user
yeah,
exits that you couldn't change
yeah,
are now fully done, whatever
yeah,
else? Like,
yeah,
because now some poor accountant has to do some other thing with their stuff to make it go right. Like the t and the other thing is so like when you're talking about like your employees, your processes, your whatever, like TCO is based on like what it costs you to run SAP.
yeah,
So like clean core, like this is why I'm glad that it's like guidance and stuff like that. It makes
mm,
a lot of sense. Is that like don't fall for trying to like resume polish or something like that with the clean
yeah,
core as a word. Like do the thing that's right for you and your business and your team. And
yeah,
that's what clean core ought to really mean. And the guidance here that's provided, I think generally speaking, it could get you there. It could get you to something
yeah,
like that, but you can't just like blindly like smash it through into like you can't just take this document
yeah,
and like shove it inside your code base and be like, just there you go. That's the answer. Do that every time and we're clean.
yeah,
That's not the answer for your business. Like your business is unique for a reason. And the way you do things is unique for a reason, even if you want to be as clean as possible.
yeah,
Things are going to leak out and you got to be better engineers and better planners and better whatever else for that.
yeah. And
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, Clean Core isn't really a framework per se, but I think it helps maybe to perceive it as sort of like framework because
Mm.
framework is never the goal in itself. Like if you wanted to, let's say, adopt some kind of framework for purpose, you would never call your project, your IT project, oh, we are like we're gonna use like SLV, or we're gonna use like this specific framework, because like that's like weird. That's like
Yeah, that's weird.
what does it do? And you cannot even
Why?
translate it for business people correctly. So, and even though it would be technically totally correct because you're totally going to use that framework, but it's not a goal of itself. So honestly, I would even, for the customers, I might even stay away from even using kind of clean core as part of defining their projects, and just say, hey, we're gonna start this effort, and we are gonna like increase our internal customer satisfaction, or like you said, total cost to own. We're gonna improve that, or we're gonna improve something specific that is a pain point for our organization. If Because otherwise, if someone, we are just gonna do clean core, and like, well, but
Yeah,
what's
now
it's
you're
gonna do?
you're
Like,
you're
what is it
serving a different
solving for
master
you?
then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like SAP's agenda.
Yeah.
You don't have
Like
to use the same exact thing. I mean,
it's
it's a great document, but you don't have to like not just drink Kool-Aid, but like pour it over you over your
yeah.
head, and buy a Kool-Aid flag, and run with it and march on the street. So yeah, something like that.
Okay, Yelena,
Yep.
bring it home. What's the action people should take, if any, from all of this hullabaloo in our tiny little community of SAP weirdos? Like what is it like what's the practical impact of this like right now, you think?
Yeah, yeah. For managers, well, like I just said, I would say just identify the use case, identify what's a problem for you, and then find why is it a problem, and why do you think clean core is a solution. It may be solution, it actually you might find that it's not. For developers, I would say in general, just improving the code has always been a good idea, and it remains a good idea. It will be a good idea going forward. So learn how to do stuff in this new 4 level world, and try to do more of that. Again, it's kind of a journey, as we say. It's so it might
Yeah.
take time. Don't expect like, oh, we're just gonna take like complete turn, or if it's gonna happen overnight. But you do need to get on that path if you're not
Mm,
there already. I think many teams probably are already thinking about it and making some effort. And then you do need to talk about it with your management, with your business users, and get on some kind of shared level of understanding of
yeah.
what value it brings to everyone. And I know
Mm,
it's honestly it's difficult, and sometimes selling simply code improvements to the business, like, well, they don't see the code quality, so they
yeah.
don't really care. But again, I think that TCO, it's an excellent argument that you Paul mentioned. Definitely, I think that makes like ears like perk up much faster than anything else, than any technical terminology.
Yeah.
That I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, for me like I have in the last however many years, I've really started to view like IT as like risk management.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of what IT does. And some people might argue that that's like the biggest and most important thing that IT does these days. I'm not sure. It seems like it. And from the standpoint of like risk management, I think this new approach or this guidance um actually feeds that beast
Yeah.
quite a bit because like if you're looking for sort of like stability guarantees, you're getting a little bit more of that with this.
Yeah.
If you're looking for, okay, what am I going to have to not screw up the next upgrade time? You're getting some more of that. It's like kind of a difference between I'm probably just restating what you said in different words here, but there's just that difference between like reliability and transformation here, right? Like
Yeah.
level A is kind of like transforming things. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
doing all your stuff in BTP and getting business process automation and blah, 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 all the acronym soup of that stuff. Like that makes things feel different to some people when they do their business processes. It's gonna do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's for the better. That's great if it's for the better, but it's some things are gonna change. that level B level is, at least to some extent, probably a large extent, is like it's gonna feel like a warm, snuggly blanket to like the
Yeah,
people who've been doing their processes in the system that you've set up. So now that you can get to like an upgrade state and like maybe shed a few things for fit to standard, but like your old weird T code that does your weird thing that you have to do no matter what, you can kind of keep it kind of humming along in that
yeah,
world, and like maybe the business doesn't need anything more out of that.
yeah, and
And
that
now
yeah.
and now it's more okay. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you
Yeah.
made me remember one thing. Just don't fix what ain't broken has been good, I think, development
Yeah.
principle, and I'm glad that that new guidance kind of aligns more with that
Mm,
because many
hmm.
customers were confused and thought that they would have to
Yeah.
go and completely revamp their old code. It's totally unnecessary. I think you
Yeah.
can leave some of the old stuff if that
Yeah.
doesn't bother you in any way. It's fine. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I think that is a great place to not overstep our time bounds and give our listeners and our viewers back whatever time they wanted for their regular lives. Because we all know how everybody just can't wait to come home and like curl up by the fire and put on the Boring Enterprise Nerds video cast
video
about
and some
about
popcorn.
stuff. Hmm, I can't wait.
Yeah,
The the
some
the
glass of wine.
New
And so,
episode of Severance? No, thank you. I'll be watching a Boring Enterprise Nerds video. Okay.
yes,
Anyway, regardless, thanks for watching, guys. Drop a comment, complaint, whatever, into things. We'll see you next time.
yeah. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.